Hello, my name is Jim Heskett, and I am the Juggling Author, and this is the first time that I'm doing a joint podcast episode and video. So if you're listening to the audio feed, make sure you go to thejugglingauthor.com/hero, because that is where you'll find the video, because I think you're going to find it very useful, because I am going to be doing readings from the children's book Star Wars R2-D2's Mission, A Little Hero's Journey. Now that may seem strange that I'm reading from a children's Star Wars book, but I promise you there is a writing craft lesson and a very valuable one indeed. So here's what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about how every person in your story is the hero of their story. It doesn't matter whether it's your protagonist or your villain or a side character. Every person in your story thinks that he or she is the hero of his or her story. And so I don't have to keep saying his or her or the singular they, which I detest. I'm just going to say her from now on. So every person in your story is the hero of her story. So I'm not going to read this entire book because I don't want to get in trouble with Disney, but I am going to do a little bit of reading here and I'm going to show you the pages. Now this book has got this little rubber R2-D2 because R2-D2 is featured on every single page in the book, and that's going to make sense in a minute. Here's the first page. In a galaxy far, far away, there was a little droid named R2-D2. He looked like a tin kettle and spoke a language of beeps and whistles. He was very loyal and very determined. This is the story of how the little droid became a big hero. That last sentence is important. Let me read it again. This is the story of how the little droid became a big hero. It all started when Princess Leia hid a tiny data card inside R2's dome. There's the inciting incident. The data card contained a message for Obi-Wan Kenobi, an old Jedi Knight who lived far away on the planet of Tatooine. The survival of the Rebel Alliance depended on the delivery of Princess Leia's message. There's the stakes in the story. So, if you've seen Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, and if you haven't, I really question your life choices up to this point. If you've seen it, you know that it's a story about Luke Skywalker going on a grand adventure where he becomes part of this Rebel Alliance to defeat the evil Empire. That is the story, the grand story in Star Wars. But like our lesson here today, that every hero, every character is the hero of her story. This story, if you look at Star Wars from R2-D2's perspective, R2-D2 has a beginning, middle, and end to his story, and he's the hero of that story. So let me just go through this real quick. So the inciting incident, he gets the data card from Princess Leia. Then on the next page, R2-D2 and C-3PO escape from the battleship. Then they land on Tatooine and they're captured by Jawas. Ooh, there's a complication. They're captured by Jawas. Then they're sold to Luke Skywalker. Then R2 reveals that he has a hologram, the message from Princess Leia. Then R2 escapes, but they're attacked by sand people. That's another complication. And then they're saved by Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then on the last page, they go to deliver the message to Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I'm going to read this last page. Safe in Obi-Wan's house, R2's message was delivered. His determination enabled the rebel forces to triumph over Darth Vader and the evil Empire. And then here's the moral of the story. Heroes come in all shapes and sizes, even the smallest of droids. Now, I hope I'm getting my point across here that every character in your story needs to have a goal, every character needs to have a desire, every character needs to have complications, every character needs to have a beginning, middle, and end, and an arc that they go through that they change. Now, you don't necessarily need to show this on the page for every single character. It just kind of depends. If you're doing an epic fantasy that's 1,000 pages long, sure, every character can have their full arc displayed on the page. But if you're writing a 350-page thriller or a romance, not necessarily every character is going to have all of those facets of their story displayed on the page. But if you look at Star Wars from R2-D2's perspective, he does other things in the story, but that's his arc. He gets a mission, he goes on the mission, there are complications, and then he accomplishes his mission. And him accomplishing his mission kicks off the second act of Star Wars, where they go on the adventure to save Princess Leia. So that's the point of this episode today, that every character needs to have a wanted desire, even if it's your villain. Your villain, even though her purpose is to provide a foil for your protagonist, the villain still thinks of herself as the hero of her own story. She still has a want. She still has a desire. She still has try-fail cycles. She still has complications that she struggles to surmount. She still wants things. She still has a beginning, middle, and end to her story. Because if you don't have that, if your side characters don't at least have the implication that they have a beginning, middle, and end, and they have a want, then they're really just cardboard cutouts. Your side characters shouldn't just be there to serve the needs of the protagonist. The antagonist shouldn't just be there to be the opposite of what the protagonist is. Every character has an arc. Now remember, you don't necessarily have to write it all into your story, but you should know it, and you should imply it. Anyway, that's all for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Juggling Author, and I hope you have a wonderful day.